Ferrari arrived at the pre-season testing with a car that is almost entirely new, 99% redesigned. Yet when the lap times appeared on the screens, there was no sign of them pushing the limits. This raises a critical question. Is Ferrari deliberately holding back its true performance? If so, why? Surprisingly, Lewis Hamilton and team principal Frédéric Vasseur have hinted at Ferrari playing mind games, possibly masking their real potential. But the bigger question remains, could Ferrari be on the verge of a breakthrough that will make them the dominant force in 2025? In preseason testing, teams often hide their full capabilities, but Ferrari's approach this year seems even more mysterious. Despite a brand new design, they didn't go all out. Could this be part of a larger strategy? Interestingly, the reactions from the Ferrari garage were quite unusual. Everyone seemed satisfied, as if everything was going according to plan. Meanwhile, rivals like McLaren and Red Bull have openly admitted that they don't fully trust Ferrari's test data. Even Vasseur himself has stated that their main goal in Bahrain wasn't to showcase raw speed, but to ensure that their on-track performance matched the simulations. If that's the case, then Ferrari might have more in store than they're letting on. Ferrari's competitors are becoming increasingly suspicious, and for good reason. Vasseur has been careful with his words, emphasizing that multiple factors influence the SF25's performance in Bahrain. The key takeaway? They didn't come to the desert to prove how fast they are. Instead, their priority was to check if the simulator data matched real-world conditions. And guess what? Everything lined up perfectly. This is what has teams like McLaren and Red Bull on edge. Ferrari seems too confident, almost as if they know something the rest of the grid doesn't. Bahrain isn't the ideal track for their new concept, given its rear-limited nature. Yet despite that, Ferrari appears content with what they've learned. That alone suggests they might be hiding extra performance. When discussing the SF25's development, Vasseur mentioned a crucial change: the suspension. By reworking this area, Ferrari has opened up new development possibilities. For years, they struggled with fine-tuning their concept, but now it seems they've taken a bold step forward. He remains cautious, though, refusing to declare Ferrari as title contenders just yet, but not everyone in the team shares Vasseur's confidence. Charles Leclerc, who has driven every ground effect Ferrari, isn't fully convinced. He believes the car still needs more stability and refinement, something the 2 days of testing have made abundantly clear. While he acknowledges the progress made, he's hesitant to make any bold claims until the car delivers on race day. Leclerc knows better than to get carried away with preseason optimism. He has seen Ferrari's ground effect cars struggle before, and while the SF25 seems improved, he isn't fully convinced just yet. His cautious approach makes sense. What truly matters isn't testing but actual race day performance. While the team is pleased with their progress, Leclerc isn't ready to call the car a winner until he sees it deliver under real competition. He explained that testing conditions in Bahrain were extreme, making it difficult to get a clear read on where Ferrari actually stands. The constantly changing track temperatures, unknown fuel loads of other teams, and different tire strategies all make direct comparisons impossible. Still, Ferrari isn't focusing just on Bahrain. Their real test will come in Melbourne. Ferrari has designed the SF25 to be more adaptable to different circuits, and that's why Melbourne could be a crucial race. Unlike Bahrain, Albert Park is more front-limited, meaning Ferrari's new front suspension could give them an advantage. The pull-rod front suspension is a major shift, aiming to make the car more predictable and stable in different conditions. If it works as intended, Ferrari might be far stronger than they appeared in testing. Beyond pure speed, Ferrari's other big goal is expanding the SF25's operating window. A fast car is good, but a consistent car is even better. Their engineers have been working on making the car more forgiving, ensuring that drivers can extract performance regardless of changing track conditions. The introduction of a new rear wing with a spoon-shaped design is part of this strategy. It's expected to be used selectively on medium downforce tracks throughout the season. All of this suggests one thing. Ferrari isn't just aiming to compete. They're building a car that can fight for wins regularly. But can they actually take the fight to Red Bull and McLaren? That's the big question. One of the biggest reasons Ferrari fans are feeling hopeful this season is none other than Lewis Hamilton. After a frustrating final few years at Mercedes, he now finds himself in a car that could potentially win races again. But his arrival at Ferrari brings another challenge. Can he coexist with Charles Leclerc? Both drivers are incredibly competitive, and there's no doubt Leclerc will push himself harder than ever to prove he's the true leader of the team. Team principal Frédéric Vasseur isn't worried, at least not yet. He has openly welcomed the rivalry, stating that he would rather have two top drivers fighting for wins than struggling at the back. However, managing two high-caliber drivers can be a nightmare. Once they put on their helmets and fight for positions, on track things could get complicated. Ferrari has made it clear they're not stopping at preseason gains. Back at their headquarters in Maranello, they're already conducting a 3-day simulator session with one clear goal: winning in Melbourne. The team is fully focused on starting the season strong and proving that 2025 is finally their year. The atmosphere is buzzing with excitement, but also a sense of urgency. There's another big decision Ferrari needs to make. Who will be their main driver? On paper, Leclerc should be the obvious choice since he has more experience with Ferrari's car philosophy. But Hamilton's adaptation has been surprisingly smooth, making him an instant contender. If he finds himself ahead of Leclerc in the early races, will Ferrari be forced to shift their focus toward the 7-time world champion? This is where things could get tricky. Hamilton has been vocal about his positive experience with the SF25 so far, even more so than Leclerc. While Leclerc is cautious, Hamilton seems to be enjoying the process of adjusting to his new car. He has been methodically exploring the car's limits, taking things step by step, and feeling more connected with every lap. Ferrari's approach this season is clear. They want to start strong and maintain their momentum. Their engineers have been working tirelessly to fine-tune every aspect of the SF25, ensuring it can perform at the highest level across different circuits. But one major question remains. Have they truly unlocked all of their potential, or are they still keeping something hidden? One area of particular interest is the rear wing. Some experts believe Ferrari might be playing it safe with its design, during testing, only unleashing its full potential when the season begins. If that's the case, Melbourne could be the first real indication of just how competitive they are. Hamilton's confidence in the car is a significant factor. His feedback suggests that the SF25 is responsive and adaptable, which could make a massive difference in tight battles on track. While Leclerc is still hesitant to declare the car a championship contender, Hamilton's experience and composure might give Ferrari an edge when it matters most. But there's another concern: the competition. Red Bull and McLaren are not standing still, and both teams will be looking to assert their dominance early in the season. If Ferrari truly wants to challenge for the title, they will need to show their full strength sooner rather than later. The real test begins in Melbourne. Will Ferrari prove they've been sandbagging in testing? Can Hamilton and Leclerc work together, or will their rivalry become a distraction? And most importantly, does Ferrari finally have a car capable of winning both championships? These are the questions that will be answered in the coming weeks. Until then, all we can do is wait and watch as the season unfolds. As the Formula One season kicks off, all eyes will be on Ferrari to see if they've been holding back or if their preseason performance was an accurate reflection of their true pace. Melbourne will provide the first real test, and the pressure is mounting. Ferrari's rivals, particularly Red Bull and McLaren, remain skeptical about the SF25's actual potential. If the Italian team has been playing mind games, the Australian Grand Prix will reveal just how much they've been keeping under wraps. A key talking point heading into the season opener is Ferrari's ability to maintain consistency across different track conditions. Bahrain exposed some of their weaknesses, but Melbourne is a completely different challenge. The high-speed nature of the circuit, combined with its front-limited characteristics, should suit Ferrari's redesigned suspension and aerodynamic philosophy. If they can capitalize on these advantages, they might just find themselves in contention for a podium, or even a victory.